All right, good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to a historic day for New Jersey Transit, its customers, and our region. A day that's been almost 110 years in the making for many of us. I want to thank Governor Phil Murphy both for his leadership and for standing with NJ Transit every step of the way these past 4+ years as we... Boss, you sure deserve it. As we worked hard to transform what was a national model of how not to run a transit system into a national model of how to turn one around. And I especially thank him when it comes to getting us to this momentous groundbreaking. As most of you may know, this project was dead in the water until Governor Murphy stepped up in 2018 to get it moving again. He removed all the excuses that prevented it from moving forward, putting his money where his mouth is by increasing the local match from New Jersey to $600 million. He knew how important it was. He knew that Portal would serve as the first key step to moving the entire Gateway program forward, and that's exactly what's happening today. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank First Lady Tammy Murphy, who has always been in the trenches with us from those earliest difficult days to now. I'd also like to thank you, Secretary Buttigieg, for coming today and for your work with President Biden to tackle one of our nation's most pressing needs, particularly with the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. A lot of smiles back there. Let me also thank my good friends, FTA Administrator Nuria Fernandez and FRA Administrator Amit Bose for coming today and for all their support and leadership for us. Next, I want to thank Senator Menendez and Senator Booker for joining us and for always being such strong advocates for public transit in New Jersey and in the nation. Let me also thank my good friend, Amtrak Board Chair Tony Kosha, along with Amtrak President and CEO Stephen Gardner, and all the staff at Amtrak for being such great partners. And of course, NJ Transit's own board chair and NJT DOT Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Cachetti for her leadership that helped us reach this day, and for all her work to advance mobility in the state of New Jersey. I'd also like to thank Greg Lalevee, Business Manager for ELEC 825, International Union of Operating Engineers, for joining us today. Greg, thanks. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank all the members of New Jersey's federal congressional delegation, all the state legislators joining us today, all of our project partners, our brothers and sisters in labor, and the many other important stakeholders here. This day would not have been possible without you all. In light of the robust program we have scheduled today, I'm going to keep my comments brief. But I do want to note the challenges we face now remind me in many ways of another critical challenge period in dealing with long-delayed critical transportation projects in our region. About 25 years ago, a number of us, like Tony Kosha, Polly Trottenberg, Senator Menendez, and I were working on two major projects of regional and national significance. One was ARC, the ill-fated predecessor of our now advancing Gateway program. The other was when New York, New Jersey, and the federal government, together with business, labor, and ultimately environmental community, came together to deepen the shipping channels, raise the Bayonne Bridge, expand rail freight terminals, and build an unrivaled logistics system of warehousing and distribution centers throughout the region. The idea was that together, these projects would create our nation's premier logistics pipeline and ensure long-term competitiveness for our region and the nation. And as was illustrated over the last few years, it worked. Ships of all sizes were now freed from restriction, delays, and congestion, greatly benefiting our entire region and ultimately enabling the region's $1.9 trillion economy, which accounts for about 10% of our nation's entire GDP. Similar to what we did for good movements then, today's groundbreaking shows what we can do for the movements of people. Taken together with other advancing elements of the Gateway program, this is another shining example of what can be accomplished when New York, New Jersey, and the federal government commit to working together to a common goal. This project, the single largest construction award in our agency's history, is just the beginning of a transformational set of passenger rail improvements that will spur economic development and deliver safe, reliable rail service for our customers for generations to come. And before I wrap up, I just want to be clear that this will not be a 20-year project. The first tracks of this new bridge is scheduled to open in 2026, and I know quite a few of my fellow commuters who have that date marked on their calendar. We very much look forward to working with Chris Calori and all our partners to get this project and the entire Gateway program over the finish line as soon as possible. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, the man who really made this day possible, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy. Governor.
Thank you. Kevin, thank you very much for your gracious words, for leading things off today, and for your work and your teammates at NJ Transit to help us get the Portal Bridge North off the drawing board and into construction. And again, welcome everybody. I think this is my count, our fourth press conference here in the vicinity of the Portal Bridge, but more on that in a moment. I want to reiterate some acknowledgments and welcomes today, especially to a dear friend. We would not be here without him, the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Pete, great to have you. And Kevin, more on you later, Mr. Secretary. Kevin mentioned them, but I want to also, again, re-acknowledge the Federal Transit Administrator, Nuria Fernandez. Nuria, it's an honor to have you here. And, and Administrator Amit Bose of the Federal Rail Administration, and welcome both of you to New Jersey. And it is also an incredible honor to be surrounded by so many extraordinary leaders in this state. Our two incredible senators, Bob Menendez and Cory Booker. Thank you, guys. Look at this murderer's row of extraordinary members of Congress. Congressman Bill Pascrell and Donald Payne, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman and Mikey Sherrill, Congressman Tom Malinowski and Josh Gottheimer, along with our great senators. We would not be here today without this lineup. I also want to, as a group, I want to acknowledge a great leader in our state legislature, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin, is in the House. Come on. The respective chairs of the transportation committees in the Senate, Senator Pat Duggan, in the Assembly, Assemblyman Dan Benson. Thank you, guys. To their colleagues, to county officials, to local officials, Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti, the chair of NJ Transit. Come on. The aforementioned Kevin Corbett and all members of the NJ Transit team, including a lot of board members who are with us today. Amtrak Chair Tony Kosha and CEO Steve Gardner and their colleagues, Gateway Commission, Development Commission President and CEO, fresh out of the gates, Chris Calori. Great to have you here. Along with your team, including your distinguished fellow board members. From throughout organized labor, Kevin mentioned the Business Manager International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, Greg Lalevee is in the House. We also have the president of the Hudson County Labor Council, who got all dressed up today. Barry Kushner is with us. Almost didn't recognize him. Steve Gardner of Liuna is in the House. Manny Amador of Labor's Local 472. Bruce Gardanio and Gino Zalacci of the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, and my friend Jerome Johnson, the president of Smart TD Local 160. Let's hear it for our union brothers and sisters, please. RPA President Tom Wright and his team, everybody at PNB, STJV, who will lead the on-site teams. It is a shorter list of people who were not acknowledged. Forgive me. Making sure you're paying attention out there. You're going to hear from a few of those folks. I think it goes without saying, in all seriousness, you don't get a lineup like this unless something great is about to happen. And to be sure, something great is about to happen, because today is the day that the construction of the new Portal North Bridge, one of the most critical connection points along the entire Northeast corridor, begins in earnest. I will have a long evening and a long week if I do not acknowledge the First Lady of the great state of New Jersey, Tammy Murphy. As I noted, I think this is our fourth time here doing a press conference. The first two were to urge the former federal administration to end its stonewalling of this project and to join with us in partnership to get this and other critical parts of the Gateway program certified and funded. In fairness, we were able to make some progress, but this project was stalled, and every day that was wasted cost money, both costs related to maintaining that bulky 112-year-old bridge and the cost to our national and regional economy every time a train had to be delayed. And then under the leadership of President Joe Biden and Secretary Pete Buttigieg and their teams, this program, if you pardon the obvious pun, got on track. And last October, I had the privilege to host President Biden here to kick off the pre-construction work for the Portal North Bridge. Today, we take the next great step of putting shovels in the ground so that this bridge can finally become reality. Finally, the most important infrastructure project in the entire nation is being kicked off. Amen. And while today is all about the Portal North Bridge, this also isn't just about the Portal North Bridge. To be sure, the Portal North Bridge is just the starting line. It's milepost zero, if you will, for the most important miles of railway, arguably in the entire nation, from here all the way to New York Penn Station. This November, the old Portal Bridge will celebrate its 112th year of service. Both it and the current Hudson River rail tunnels were built during the administration of President Theodore Roosevelt. That's a long run in any job. But as that milestone approaches, so too is the day when the old span will finally be retired and torn down and replaced by the brand new bridge that will take its place. For commuters and our economic future, we know that day cannot come quickly enough, but it is finally coming. Safe, reliable, and modern infrastructure is about more than just getting to work on time. It's also about the thousands of jobs, overwhelmingly union jobs, these projects create. Amen. And the families they support. And it is about strengthening our nation's economic backbone. We haven't seen infrastructure investment like this that we're undertaking across our state, or in the country for that matter, in a generation or more. We're building a stronger New Jersey, not just for today, but for the economy of tomorrow. I cannot be more grateful to President Biden, Secretary Buttigieg, everyone here from the House and Senate, our federal partners in the administration as well, who have worked together with me and my team over the past 2 years to pull this project off the shelf and put it on a fast track. I am also grateful to our New York partners, many of whom are here today, and I want to give Catherine Garcia especially a shout out. And in absentia, Governor Kathy Hochul and her entire team, who are outstanding partners in this entire endeavor on both this side of the Hudson and on the other side. I know we're all incredibly anxious to get some shovels in the ground, but first, as always, we need to hear from a few more folks. And I want to start with someone who has been a tremendous partner in getting this project moving and who understands how critical safe and modern transportation infrastructure is both for our economic future and for the families who rely on it. Please help me welcome to New Jersey the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Thank you and good morning. What a rousing New Jersey welcome you've given us, and thanks very much. It is a delight to be here. Thank you to Kevin and everyone at NJ Transit for your work. Thank you, Governor Murphy. We know it's a big deal when the governor's here. We know it's a very big deal when the First Lady is here. So we're so glad to have both of you, and I want to thank you for your leadership on this project. I want to commend you and Governor Hochul for coming to terms on getting the Gateway overall up and running. Chris, we're going to be working together closely and keeping you very busy, and we're so enthused about the road ahead. Delighted to be joined by Senator Menendez and Senator Booker, an extraordinary congressional delegation who have never hesitated to remind me of the importance of this project and several other things that are taking place in this region that depend on federal support and who are responsible for the overall context where we're gathering, which is a bipartisan infrastructure law that is funding the greatest level of federal investment in transit in the history of the Republic. It is a big deal. Many administrations and Congresses have come and gone promising infrastructure, talking about infrastructure. Now it's happening in historic proportions, thanks in no small part to your two senators and your phenomenal members of the House of Representatives. Thank you. My colleagues, Nuria Fernandez and Amit Bose, leading our transit and rail administrations, respectively, who are being kept very busy by this work. We're so glad to be joined by you and so glad that there is leadership on the ground to work with Commissioner Scicchetti. So glad to be with you, Greg Lavallee, and so many of the workers who are going to bring the economic opportunity that this effort represents to families, communities, small businesses, all because people are going to have more money in their pockets doing this good work, and so many state, county, local, and other leaders who are here. Thanks to Representative Cyrus for welcoming us to this district. This is the best way I can think of to start a Monday morning. The worst way I can think of to start a Monday morning is late to work. And for so many commuters, it has been difficult to know that you could count on our 111-year-old infrastructure. It is the very finest state-of-the-art engineering of the Teddy Roosevelt administration. But we need something different and something better. And the people here have been relentless in getting us to this day, appropriately so, because so many people count on this. The residents, not just across New Jersey and New York and the eastern seaboard, but really across the country, count on the economic vitality of this region. And I think a lot about the personal implications of having good transit and good transportation. Matter of fact, we were together in North Jersey, I think, when one of the people we spoke to at an event that I think Tom and Josh might have been at, and Mikey actually, that sticks in my mind. Someone saying, I'm not the mother that I would like to be because of the way my commute works. And we have a chance to do something about that by making sure that we secure the best possible, reliable transportation infrastructure. Now, we were already on board as an administration, $800 million committed to this project. But the folks who are here today saw to it that this effort did not slip, that we had the resources to deliver on our commitments. And after years of politically motivated delays under the previous administration, the leaders who are here have made sure that this will not slip, it will get done on time, and they have succeeded in bringing us to this point. I want to recognize the hundreds of staff members in my department, the offices who are here, who worked tirelessly to make this happen. From our side, a lot of those were the teams at FTA and FRA under the leadership of Administrator Bose and Administrator Fernandez. And all of this adds up to public service at its best, demonstrating that good government, rather than arguing over how big or how small it's going to be, good government can deliver and get things done. The infrastructure you see here is so consequential that if there were to be a failure here, you would feel the economic results as far away as where I grew up in Indiana. Even absent of full catastrophic failure, the delays, about 2,000 hours in delays in a 5-year period, add up and make a huge difference in so many businesses and so many lives. Sometimes when this bridge needs to be closed after its opening, workers have to get out their sledgehammers and pound the rails back into alignment. That's where we are. It would be frustrating anywhere, but it's not acceptable at the busiest rail bridge in the country. This project turns the Portal North Bridge from a choke point to an access point. It modernizes the way that people and goods get to and from this region that is responsible for 20% of America's economic product every year. And I hope that this bridge will not only bring people to work and loved ones to where they need to be, but brings renewed confidence in our ability to get things done together, because we've got a lot more good work where this came from. We are entering into a true infrastructure decade. And after seeing transportation confront some of the biggest challenges it ever has, as economic shockwaves disrupt every part of our transportation system, from the way containers move to the way air passengers move through our national airspace, we also have now, in this moment, the best time in our lives to work on transportation, to get people and goods efficiently where they need to be, thanks to the leadership that you see right here under this tent. Now, the only thing better than a groundbreaking, and I say this as a former mayor, and former Mayor Booker will agree with me and many others who are here, the only thing better than a groundbreaking is a ribbon cutting, right? So we are marking our calendar for that day, and I know everybody here will see to it that we reach that day, and I will be there with bells on. Thank you so much for the chance to join you at this house.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. What an honor. Great comments. Now I'd like to invite Senator Menendez up to say a few words. Senator.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let me start off by thanking the governor for his leadership. I have worked with various governors, and some have created highways of opportunity and others have created roadblocks to the future. And this one creates highways of opportunity. So, Governor, thank you for your leadership. It's important that we are here today. And we always are thrilled to have the First Lady as another voice in support of these issues. Mr. Secretary, we are thrilled to welcome you to New Jersey. When your nomination was up for confirmation, this is the first thing I talked to you about. You were clear-eyed about the importance of it, and I asked you for a commitment, and you've kept your word. So thank you, Mr. Secretary, for what you're doing. I appreciate all of the elected officials here. I want to all politics is local, so Mayor Santos, thank you for hosting us today. We appreciate you very much. And Craig Guy, who's representing the county executive of Hudson County here. Thank you, Craig, for joining us. Of course, all of those distinguished leaders in our transportation, both nationally, state, and local, who are here as well. For the sake of time, I won't recognize them all again, but they are extraordinary to work with. This day has been a long time coming. For years, ink has been spilled, speeches have been delivered, and legislation has been passed reiterating the need to replace the Portal Bridge. Over the years, this critical piece of infrastructure has evolved from a transit marvel into a transit nightmare. It's old. Punctuation point. It's old, it's limiting, and it's unreliable. 1 out of every 7 times it fails to lock back into place after opening for ships to pass. And when that happens, a crew of maintenance workers, as the secretary said, take out their sledgehammers and try to bring it back into position in the 21st century. We simply cannot have infrastructure that requires the equivalent of banging on the TV to make it work again. Infrastructure that, even when it works, slows down hundreds of trains each day because of speed restrictions. Simply put, the Portal Bridge is a choke point on the busiest stretch of rail in America. It is a choke point on the future, and we deserve better. Today, we turn the page. When the new Portal Bridge opens, it will be fixed in place and high enough for marine traffic to pass below unimpeded. It will spare hundreds of thousands of passengers each day from malfunctions and delays. For travelers, it will mean less time stuck on a train and more time with their families and loved ones, more productivity at work and at their final destinations. And for our region, it will help us double rail capacity between Newark and Manhattan as part of the broader Gateway program. And for our communities, this project is directly tied to more jobs, higher wages, and greater productivity. It's an essential part of our plan to remake the Northeast Corridor, which benefits our state and the entire country, maximizing the impact of a region that contributes $3.7 trillion to the national gross domestic product, 20% of GDP. That's why when Administrator Menendez was before our Committee on Banking that has jurisdiction over transit, I said to her, this is a project of national significance. And today we make that case. And that's why I call Gateway a project of national significance, and we won't stop until we get those 2 new Trans-Hudson tunnels to make sure that we can move people effectively. Now, this project has been a long battle. I started on this project when I was still in the House of Representatives. When I came to the Senate, working with the late Frank Lautenberg, we got the largest federal commitment to a mass transit project at that time in history, the ARC Tunnel. Unfortunately, we had someone who didn't have the vision that Governor Murphy has, and basically it went poof, gave it away. The incredible work that went at that time. And so we had to start all over again. So I'm proud to have as my colleague Senator Booker, who's worked with me side by side since he came to the Senate to make this happen, and an incredible House delegation. You know, we rejoice in a lot of things, and there's a lot of credit. But we wouldn't be here today but for the votes of the members of the House of Representatives of the United States Senate in the largest infrastructure project since Eisenhower created the National Highway System. Back in 2015, we celebrated preliminary construction thanks to a $16 million Tiger grant that we convinced the then Secretary that made a lot of sense to invest in New Jersey. Last January, after years of political delays, this project should have already been on its way. But because of years of political delays under the previous administration, we didn't get moving. But last January, we secured $766 million through the FTA's Capital Investment Grants Program. A few months later, we passed that landmark bipartisan infrastructure law, which helps this project access federal funds when it needs them. And as your United States senators, it's our job and our duty. But I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that this was a team effort. Folks here represent the unique partnership between state and federal officials, the DOT and transit agencies alike. It's a partnership that recognizes that an all-hands-on-deck endeavor, one that will not only replace the Portal Bridge, but also build brand new Hudson River tunnels and complete the entire Gateway program, happens. I'll end with this. Secretary Buttigieg has spoken eloquently about the importance of transportation, saying that travel is synonymous with growth, adventure, and love. So much so that he even proposed to his now husband at an airport terminal in O'Hare. In the daily drumbeat of our lives as public officials, we often lose sight of the bigger picture. This is more than rail and metal and steel. This is about much more than that. It's about people getting to work and being productive. It's about someone who needs chemotherapy going to one of the incredible hospitals along the Northeast Corridor. It's about a mom or dad getting home from work in time to make a child's recital or a Little League game. It's about spending more time with family and less in traffic. It's about breathing cleaner air. It's about quality of life. The bridge behind me has faithfully served for over 100 years, carrying millions and millions of travelers from everyday commuters or tourists seeing New York for the first time. It has opened countless times to let ships go through and be part of that great supply chain. It has witnessed unimaginable change and transformation. The question now remains, what stories will be written once the new bridge is complete? What will the next 100 years, the next Portal North Bridge, give us? One thing is for certain. When it opens, it will no doubt be synonymous with growth, adventure, and love. Thank you all.
Thank you. As part of the political powerhouse, I feel like it's going from Juan Carlos Stanton to Aaron Judge on the batting order. Sorry, boss. Not Boston, boss. Can't get slipped in. I would now like Senator Booker to come up and share a few words.
So there are more heroes in this room that deserve to have New Jersey Turnpike rest stops named after them than we have New Jersey Turnpike rest stops. A lot of the great people here have been named. I want to thank the mayor of this great city. I want to thank the county executive. I want to thank really the state leaders I see Coughlin was here, and they've done an incredible job. Obviously, our governor has been singularly responsible for so much of this moving forward. I see two administrators here who have been good allies and friends and critical. We literally have a representative from the President of the United States of America here, my friend and incredible leader in Pete Buttigieg. There is just so much heroism in this room that I am almost overwhelmed that I don't have the time to mention every single person responsible. But I want to just drill down for just 1 second and let folk know. The governor talked about 4 press conferences. Bob, you and I have been out here more than 4 times. We've been out here over 3 presidents. We have been out here for press conferences to view the horrific conditions here. I want to highlight people that I know that kept this project going with drips and drabs to save the momentum. Even when we had a president that tried to kill this project and choke it, there were heroes that still got money. But for these House members, this project would not be where it is today. But for Josh Gottheimer, but for Congressman Malinowski, but for Mikey Sherrill, but for Bonnie Watson-Coleman, but for Donald Payne, but for the great pugilistic Pasquarel, but for Pallone, but for Andy Kim. I have seen them when the chips were on the line, coming in, especially under the Trump administration, and making sure we got the next little drabs of money to keep this project going forward. Our congressional delegation does not get the infrastructure credit that they deserve. It was not just this one big bill. I have seen them block and tackle and fight and struggle and wrestle and squeeze dollar after dollar after dollar. Would you please give a round of applause for our House of Representatives? And I can't say enough about Bob Menendez. I am telling you right now, if you are in a fight in the Senate, you want to have next to you a Cuban from the great city of Union City. This man is ferocious. There are days he scares me, and I'm twice his size, or at least 50% greater in mass. But Bob Menendez is one of the best, smartest, most tactical operators there is in the Senate, and I want to give him a special round of applause right now. If you are a New Jerseyan, there are good days in Jersey, there are bad days in New Jersey, but this is a great day in New Jersey. If you are a New Jersey commuter, this is a great day. If you are a New Jersey taxpayer, dear God, all the money we give to the federal government, it's about time we see more of it coming back. If you are a New Jersey laborer, if you are a New Jersey lover of unions, this is a great day for New Jersey. This is our state right now, standing up and showing a little pride. I am sick and tired of having this region with 2% of the land mass in America, but we contribute 20% of the economy of this country. And I will tell you right now, time and time again, we have seen underinvestment, disrespect, disregard. Hell, we've just been playing dissed. This is not charity. This is investing in the most profitable region in the United States of America. For every dollar of infrastructure invested in a project like this, we're getting more than 5 back in economic growth. And so today I have to tell you, I just got to get it off my chest. I am so frustrated with other countries out-Americaning us. We're the United States of America. This is New Jersey. We defined infrastructure on the planet Earth. For 3 generations, we led in every area, from air flight. Heck, we invented the airplane. From tunnels and trains. We did what other people on the planet said couldn't be done. Roads that united people. We were America, but now, in a generation, we've slipped behind. I watched places like France build high-speed rail from Marseille to Paris going 300 miles per hour. China building thousands and thousands of miles of high-speed rail, and this rail corridor, the busiest in the United States of America, heck, in North America, runs half an hour slower than it did in the 1960s. This is a thing that should tick us off if we're competitive. It should tick us off if we're patriots. I am tired of this. We passed a great bill. God bless Pete Buttigieg. God bless President Biden. God bless these folks in the front row. But I'm telling you, it's a down payment or where we have to go, because the question is, we have defined the past, but will America define the future? And God, when Bob sat down, I leaned over to him and I said, Bob, I love when you talk about love. When you see a fighter, a pugilist like him too, talk about love, he's right. We're something special here in this country. Martin Luther King described us in the most spiritual of ways, but it's practical. He said, we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a common garment of destiny, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Well, what is the physical manifestation of human connection if it's not infrastructure? And what is injustice if not the busiest rail corridor in America having a choke point that does not work? This is an injustice that does affect everywhere. And so today is a great day for New Jersey, and heck, it's a great day for America. But as we shovel dirt today symbolically, I don't want us to just think about the soul connections that we're making as a result today, but that we've got to get some momentum going down the track for tomorrow. Because I don't want the best days of this nation behind us. I'm telling you, we are America, we're New Jersey, the best days are ahead. And if our truth is to go marching on, we need the railways and the highways and the byways to make sure that that truth has something to roll upon. We are the United States of America, and it's the infrastructure of this country that's the best hope we have in keeping us united, connected, and keeping us moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Well, Tony, I don't envy you. As you notice, the number of trains going back and forth, those aren't staged. That's a constant rhythm of how this country moves. And a good number of those trains are Amtrak trains, you notice. So certainly you would like my good friend and partner, Chairman of Amtrak, Tony Kosher, please say a few words.
Wow. You know, I just said to the senator, I could use a shot of both Menendez and Booker every morning just to get started. So, and by the way, Kevin's right about the trains. I was trying to time them to drown them out a little bit so I wouldn't look so lame in comparison, but they spoke over it. So let me begin by saying these are incredibly exciting times to be at Amtrak. Thanks to the leadership of President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg, the infrastructure bill that this Congress made a reality for us has transformed the way Amtrak is looking at the future in many ways. All across the country, Amtrak is now providing transportation options to cities and communities that never could have envisioned having rail service available to them, creating the kind of connection between city pairs that are going to activate communities from both an economic standpoint and a quality of life standpoint, has brought mobility to a whole new level. Amtrak has become a far more available option to places in the past that could only dream about having rail infrastructure, but we are now making that kind of historic investment. This investment, the investment in the Portal North Bridge, and more importantly, the investment in the Gateway program, represents that kind of historic investment. The reality is that what we're doing here is really tremendously unique in many ways, because we're bringing together government entities at various levels, 2 different states, the state of New York, the state of New Jersey, the federal government in a variety of different capacities. And there was reference to Administrator Nuria Fernandez and Amit Bose, who have been incredible partners to us at the federal level. Congress's critical involvement, the involvement of the private sector, labor unions, the construction world. This is how you build major projects today. This is not someone stands up, pounds their fist on the table and says, I will do this alone. No, this is a community of interests who come together to accomplish something. And we're going to prove by building the Gateway program that the United States is capable of building large transformational infrastructure projects that are complicated, that yes, are expensive, that may require more than an election cycle to complete, but we're going to prove that we're capable of doing it. And right here in New Jersey, at this spot, is where we're starting that effort. I'm proud. Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud that not only am I here, and I'm clearly here as the chairman of Amtrak, but I am also a lifelong New Jerseyan. And I'm so proud of our governor for having stood up and made this project a reality during some of the very dark moments when, frankly, there were not a whole lot of supporters. And I cannot speak highly enough of the level of support that the Gateway program has, that Amtrak has, that the whole idea of giving mobility to people, the level of support that we have in the United States Congress. It is incredible to have Senator Menendez, Senator Booker, and this delegation available as supporters and who have done the incredible work that they've done. You know, Amtrak has become a much more customer-oriented company. We clearly understand that it's really not about the trains, it's about the people on the trains. So we've become very focused and a very data-driven company. We spend a whole lot of time on consumer satisfaction, what we're doing right, what we're not doing right. Well, I will tell you that if something goes wrong with the Amtrak system anywhere in the Northeast Corridor, and certainly in northern New Jersey, I don't need to boot up my computer. I don't need to talk to the marketing department, because there's a pretty good chance that before the sun comes up, either Senator Menendez, Senator Booker, or one of our members of Congress will have me on the phone demanding to know why we haven't fixed it yet. So the people of this state are incredibly served by a delegation that aggressively looks for its interests. And let me just close by saying this. I've been at this a long time, as have many of you, and I've been part of those fights for a long time that Senator Menendez mentioned, and I'm grateful that we've gotten to this point. But I think sometimes we forget about what happens if we actually succeed. And you've heard some reference to that from the speakers before me. But what happens if we actually succeed here is that New Jersey Transit will literally be able to double the number of trains that it sends in and out of Manhattan. That you'll be able to have far more one-seat rides from many places. Communities within New Jersey and New York will be able to be connected to each other. That it will not just affect this side of the river, but the other side of the river. You heard mention of Governor Hochul's support for this project. That has made a world of difference. And we think communities in the East Bronx and Long Island are going to have improved service because of what we're doing. This is, in fact, an effort here to actually make a material change that will, for generations, have an impact on people. So with that, I'd like to express finally my gratitude to the wonderful team we have at Amtrak. Our president, Steve Gardner's here, Laura Mason, who heads our capital construction, Marie Corrado, who heads our Gateway initiative. These are dedicated people who want to make a difference. I'm glad to be part of their team. I'm glad to have your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. I'd now like to introduce one of the most passionate transportation leaders in New Jersey, whose partnership and support has made so much of our progress possible. My New Jersey Transit Board Chair and NJT DOT Commissioner, Diane Scaschetti. Diane?
Good morning. It is such a privilege for me to be here today. I have to say, though, following the lineup of speakers, I have to throw my remarks away, so bear with me. I don't want to be too repetitive, but I do want to take a different approach to my gratitude. My gratitude starts with Governor Murphy and the First Lady for having the confidence in the transportation agencies in the state of New Jersey to do the job that we know how to do best, to be there for us, to provide the funding that we need so that New Jersey keeps moving forward. It is incredible to have a governor that understands the importance of infrastructure the way Governor Murphy does, and who allows me in my job and Kevin in his job to deliver on the promises he's made to the residents of the state of New Jersey and all those who choose to visit and work here. But I also want to thank President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg. Without the support you've given us through the IIJA generally, but most specifically on this bridge, it wouldn't happen. It couldn't happen. And so to understand that there is an administration that looks at a decade of transportation improvement is hugely beneficial to us. It is important to us to make sure that we can provide all the services all New Jerseyans need. And so today, when we talk about a safe and efficient transportation system, we also talk about an equitable transportation system. That kind of work can only be done by the investment the federal government has provided to us. And that gets done because you have folks like Senator Menendez and Senator Booker and our congressional delegation who ping you on a regular basis about just how important New Jersey is, right? There's no place like Jersey. That's what I tell everybody. And that goes no matter where you go in the country, everybody will tell you, well, it's a Jersey thing. It is. It's a small state of 9 million people who have the best intentions. It is a state that is made up of small towns and communities that build the fabric of this state and also of this country. So my gratitude to all of you for what you have done to support New Jersey. And to our state legislative delegation that's here today, Speaker Coughlin, Senator Deignan, Assemblyman Benson, everyone, you are always there for us. And so our thanks are certainly for all that gets done in terms of the financial piece coming in and the importance of this project. I'm sitting here watching the trains go by thinking, what do those folks think? And I think back, I guess, at some point to the building of the interstate. I was a child, didn't mean much to me, but the interstate was built as the ribbon that binds this country together. There are no state lines when it comes to the interstate. You travel seamlessly across the country for whatever your needs may be. The investments we're making today are going to allow for the same seamless travel with an emphasis on public transit, which is more equitable, which will be cleaner, and which will provide much more capacity than we can simply on our roads. But look at where you are today. You have surface transportation, you have marine transportation, you have rail transportation, and if you wait a minute, you'll have aeronautics above us. In this region of the country, we are a transportation hub in so many ways, and that's what makes this infrastructure so critical. So what I will end with all of you is a promise. The promise is that the partnership we have with Amtrak, led by Tony Kosha, with the state of New York, led by Catherine Garcia, with Gateway, led by Chris Calori, and with New Jersey, with the governor at the helm, and Kevin and I supporting him, we will deliver Portal North on time, and I've already told Kevin, on budget, because that's how it has to be, right, Catherine? We will deliver that project as you intend. That is truly my role in being here today, is to make that commitment to all of you that we promise to repay you for your constant support of us, is to repay you with the promise of successful completion of that bridge. I am so privileged to be in the role I'm in. I thank Governor Murphy and the First Lady every day for that honor. I am so excited about working with our partners, and I am so excited to work with the men and women who will grind it out every day to make sure that we have a successful ribbon cutting in 2026. Thank you so much.
All right, Greg, now it's your, I keep giving tough acts to follow. Certainly there's been a lot of mention of labor, and there's no better person to speak on behalf of labor than Greg Lalevee, business manager of Elect 825, Operating Engineers Union, and a great partner on so many projects.
Well, you've seen Rizzo, LeMahieu, Stanton, Judge. I may be batting last, but I'm happy to be on this team. Former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher said, "You and I arrive by road and rail. Economists travel by infrastructure." And what did she mean when she said that? Well, for workers, the ripple effect of a job like this is profound. You could talk about the craft workers on the job and the supervision on the job. That supervision has a complex back office to provide logistics and support. A project like this is built with thousands of yards of concrete, batched and trucked from a plant not far from here. That concrete is made with stone, mined in a quarry in northwest New Jersey. Also with sand, mined by workers in southern New Jersey. And those workers all have good middle-class jobs. They're buying homes. They're feeding their families. They're sending their kids to college. They're going on vacations. They're grabbing their part of the American dream, all because of what all these public officials have brought here today. So on behalf of operating engineers, my fellow craft workers, and all the workers associated with this, we're happy to get to work. We're ready to get to work. That's why we greet this day with such enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
right, thank you, everyone, and that concludes the speaking portion of our program. Again, thanks for all joining today, and we look forward to sharing the project updates with you as the construction moves ahead.